Hi, my name's Tristan Ducharme, and my literary term was subtext, and this is the subtleties of subtext. So I got a great definition from literaryterms.net on what subtext is. It states, subtext is the unspoken or less obvious meaning or message in a literary composition, drama, speech, or conversation. The subtext comes to be known by the reader or audience over time, as it's not immediately or purposely revealed by the story itself. It is crucial to seek out the subtext of a literary work or film, as it is the deeper meaning that the creator is attempting to convey to his or her audience. Having subtext cleverly hidden can keep an audience focused and allow for critical thinking on the media provided. Without subtext, media would have a lack of depth and it would be harder to connect viewers with the creator's message. So some literary examples that you can see in novels. One is in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. A tale of a tragic romance is told on the surface level, but using subtext, Shakespeare expresses themes of the damage that overly restricted families can inadvertently cause, as well as the dangers of rushing into romantic relations too quickly. As you can see with this story, Romeo and Juliet fall madly in love even though their families are clashing with each other. So this develops into an even more intense relationship, and a misunderstanding causes them to both die towards the end. And while it just seems like a normal romantic tragedy on the surface, it's talking more about how when parents or families in general are overbearing, it causes children or whatever family member to kind of lash out and want to be more independent and act on their own. And we can see how this can lead to fatal results. Another example is Animal Farm by George Orwell. In Animal Farm, the story is about speaking animals that attempt to form a political system based on equality. But looking deeper, it becomes apparent that the novel is alluding to the rise of communism in Russia during the Cold War. I personally love this novel a lot. I really wasn't much for reading in like middle school and high school, but this is one of the books that really got me into it. Um, the entire time that you're reading, if you're not too educated on the Cold War and the rise of communism to begin with, it doesn't really seem too clear to you, but you can start seeing the cracks through it when like they start changing the rules on the large fort that they have overnight that for communism and equality. And towards the end, the big reveal, spoiler alert, that the animals have started walking on 2 feet, simulating or emulating that they are more powerful and more higher, they are in a higher social status than the animals that walk on 4 legs. You can also see some examples in films. One of my favorite films, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The plot is seemingly based around Scott needing to fight for his love interest Ramona until the finale where the subtext is revealed to be that Scott actually needs to fight for himself and expose his hurtful actions to others. I think this is a great example of subtext because the entire plot of the story is kind of holding your hand that this is just a normal, well, not normal, but a basic story about how a guy is into a girl and he needs to woo her. But towards the end, it turns out that wooing her isn't really the main goal. It's more about Scott's self-inflicted issues and what he inflicts on others around him. And I really like that they have two separate endings to it where he actually realizes what he needs to do in the very end. Another example is in Harry Potter. The main focus is on a young boy, Harry Potter, overcoming great adversity. However, the subtext in the story is that it's really about the power of a mother's love. It's revealed towards the end of the multiple movies that strength in his mother's love has saved him from death multiple times. So on challenging subtext, while subtext is seen in most forms of media, it is not always present. Some stories' meanings can be transparent without including underlying details or themes. When a piece of media aims to be informative or persuasive, including subtext wouldn't serve a purpose to the point and can make the overlying message become blurred. When a story is meant to entertain and has no subtext, it can be lacking in creativity or depth, which can dissuade an audience's interest. So although subtext is very important in a sense of, getting an audience to be interested and, invoking critical thinking and making people want to talk about it and making it more interesting, doing it in things that are more just strictly informative pieces don't really have that much of an effect, because you kind of want to be very concise and really convey to your overall audience what you're trying to say without trying to include underlying messages. So in conclusion, subtext is the underlying themes or morals that creators include in their works. The inclusion of subtext can help keep an audience interested and encourage critical thinking. It is seen throughout all forms of media, but it's not always necessary to convey a point. Authors use subtext to make observations on society or historical events and to help readers understand their views. And that is it. I did not include a the end page, but this is my vocal the end page. I am not used to this format. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.